All right, all you devils out there, happy Friday. Oh, let's see, it's a little after 1:30 for me. I'm not finding a lot that I love here. I think so much of crypto, it's still a little bit of hurry up and wait now. So we'll look at a few things here where there's some recent opportunity. But I just no, I think the TA is just implying that we're what is this? Sell in May and go away. Or it's just that it almost feels like the market in general is anticipating very bullish action, but much of the TA suggests that one more leg lower here would, I think, clean up some of the technical counts, right? So at least from an Elliott perspective, and we'll charge into some of that. Let's just take a quick pick at we'll look at Bitcoin and ETH here. Of course, so. I mean, this got people enthusiastic, right? So as we look at this, okay, just kind of just quick review. Oh, come here, right? So the count here is, I don't have all the detail in here because the implication here is we've got a completed 3. So WXY, ABC finishes it. Not the cleanest finish down here, but it's acceptable. Again, often with Elliott, if you can't dig it out perfectly, it's what's implied. Now, as we come up here, right, so was that going to be enough, or did we need rollover? Well, now we've got a full impulse coming off of this. So I think that's got the market starting to get perhaps overly bullish a little bit too soon. So now that's a 4-hour here. There's a couple of things to note here. Well, one, of course, right, here's Al, right? It's no shock. Right in the pocket here. I think if I put them on there, it's just, you can't script this any better. Literally, it almost looks like it's made up. Guys, maybe there'll be a fair value gap right between the 50 and the golden zone. And what if we put anchored VWAP? Maybe be right there, and we can put a corner pocket on that. It's just, you can't make that stuff up, right? It's just, I mean, that's as technical as it can be. And then we are going to the target, hits it to the tick, literally to the tick. So now if you're looking there, right, and you're thinking, 1, 2, well, if we're going to go up for a 3 and get a 1618 and hit the median line, well, that would put us at a new all-time high. So how are we going to get there? Well, one of two ways, right? So we can see a little resistance here. There's a little bit more to it there. We'll look at it in a second. But if this is 1, 2, unless there's going to be some surprise pump to come out of this, it would not be unreasonable to anticipate a correction here, which would suggest that this is 1, 2, 1, 2, right before we go through for 5. That actually, if you start to do just typical fib projections, that's going to start to suggest higher prices. Because if it's 1, 2, 1, 2, another fair value gap here with the algo, it's got a target come refill that or rebalance that. 3, 1, 2, 3, right? We're going to get it all there, right? So you can just to kind of follow along with that. We're going to get a big 3 here. We're going to go straight, right? Again, we'll look at some measure, right? Something like that. We're going to get that high. So, bull. I don't know if that's. I guess that's bull porn-ish. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gives us the 3. Well, if we start projecting, let's use our tools. If this is 1 and if this is 2, up to the 2618 for the 3. This is Bitcoin. Look at the timetable. June, July. It's very doable. Retrace for the 4. This is a target here because we had from just looking at where the high probability location was. If this is 1, 2, this is where you would have anticipated the 3 right here, right? But on the assumption here that this is a completed impulse, which, we don't confirm until we start to see the retrace. Well, now you start to just put the roadmap together. 1, 2. Well, no, we moved that. Here, let's do it this way. So if this is 1, and again, I'll just eyeball it. I'll use the midpoint of the fair value gap. Well, then 3 would be potentially right here, right? Again, just using, where does it typically go for a wave 3? 3, 4, 5, up for the 2618. Well, I wouldn't bet against that, right? In fact, I'm doing quite the opposite, right? I'm anticipating that. But this next move here will be interesting. I think it's going to dictate what we may do here for the remainder, the rest of the summer, certainly. Because as we look across some of the majors, it's very shaky we're going to need a big push here to invalidate all of the bearish setups that are there. So as looking here at Bitcoin, that's a few other hurdles we have to get through here. We can leave that on. Get this off of here, all of this off, right? So here's what we've got right now. Oh, here we'll come back to that. I've got a golden corner here, or pardon me, it's a corner, didn't make golden, but it's in between the two, and I've yet to get to median line, right? I know that I have 80% probability of getting there, right? I'll take those odds any day. 80%, right? Well, we're not there, and we're retracing. So retrace, and then we get it on the second leg, possibly. Well, first thing we got to clear is, so you look right here and you go, oh, is it the algo target? Is it the fair value gap? Is it the order block? Or is it AL? Or is it all three? Again, I say this all the time, right? I cannot make that up. I can't make this shit up. The target is splitting the golden zone from the top. I promise you that that's not random, right? If you think that's random, let me just show this to you. If you think that's random here in Bitcoin, right? So many of you are focused on crypto. Let's just pop over to the ES. If you think this is, if you think it's, oh, well, this is just Bitcoin, or this is, I've said this for 5 years. It does not matter what market we're talking about. It does not matter what time frame we're looking at. This algo dominates every market at every time frame. Period. Look at this here. This is the one. I've got a perfect one. Now, I tick the 618. Tick it. Look what happens up here. That's from 618 to 1618 to the tick. And now we're starting to retrace. Again, the reason we focus on this so much and we emphasize this so much in every video I've ever done, I'm constantly referring to this measured move algo, is because that's, I've said this again for 5 years. It's not why it moves, it's how it moves. I just cannot I just can't understand how anybody who's watched more than 2 videos that I've done over the last 5 years, this wouldn't be the first thing you looked at. Where's Al? What did he do last? Well, okay, from this golden zone to this 1618. Again, we don't know that that's the top. We could keep right, but the fact that we get the reaction there, I promise you that is not random. Right? What? So we got a 3. Are we coming down for the 4, for the 5? Well, let's get back to Bitcoin. Right now, you tell me. Again, market does not matter. It just doesn't. Okay, so what do we do here? Well, are we anticipating the retrace? Well, just because it's there, and I mean, they have to break, right? One side has to break, or we go sideways forever. So, my thought would be we retrace here, right? Just following the Elliott progression, 5s and 3s. I got a 5, anticipating a 3. Now we come back at it. Now that's the one that has to break, right? It has to break with muscle, right? Because we're anticipating a 3. So we're not looking for something wimpy here. We're looking for a big push here. So if we get the retrace here to come back here and say, what does the algo do? All right, sweeps the external liquidity here. If we look at this, right, it's break of structure. Now we're going to retrace. What do we have to do? Rebalance this fair value gap bound below. So from external to internal to external to internal. That's how the algo operates. Yes, thank you, ICT, for that. All right, give him credit where it's due. Just like David Halsey, right? Thank you for decoding the dominant algo in the market for us, right? Again, I didn't discover this. You don't have to discover. I didn't discover Elliott Wave or Fibonacci retracements or median lines or any of that, right? It's just, again, it was taught to me by my mentors, and then I picked some of this up over the last few years as it's become just painfully obvious that this is the dominant algo in the market, period. Okay, so let's go over to ETH because I don't know that this is any better, right? So here, I've just used the, what am I using? The anchored volume profile here from this last pivot here where we've got this, it's so skinny, right? That's what makes me, that's what I see here when I look at this. Oh, there's my ellipse here, right? So this is all so skinny, right? We don't get the, you're not getting, what you typically want, this kind of swing structure here. This is what I see. It just looks to me, it's just skinny, right? And then yet again here, if I do the same thing, if I can get that fucker back here, right? It's so skinny. Right? I'm not getting decent retracements there. I'm just getting push, baby little retrace, push. But now, oh, wait a second. Now I got a big, fat, long retrace. Now look where we are right now. Right? So again, from this pivot, that's all I've done is just use the anchored volume profile. So from this swing low, right where we go, it's just very skinny, right? There's not a lot of support here. But now as we consolidate, whoa. That's why I think really just for most traders, you know, barring some sort of big move or news event or something that jars the market here, this is not. Did I say not where you want to be? You have no edge here. You just don't, right? I mean, heads you buy, tails you sell. No edge means sit on your hands. Don't trade just because, oh, well, I got to trade, right? I've decided I'm going to be a trader, right? And I got to trade, right? Because I need the money or I want the money or whatever it is. Trading is about, you know, you got to pick your spots, right? And this is not, certainly an ETH here as we consolidate here and we're getting an ETF, we're not getting an ETF, are China trading it, or are they trading it in Asia? There's so much uncertainty here. It's not surprising that we're just consolidating here. So as we sit in this from value area low, well, gun to my head, I'd be a buyer. Right, from value area low to value area high, but I'm, you know, it's a lot to look at that and assume, oh, we're not just going to go to the top of the value area and then retrace, but to the bottom area. Eventually, we're going to get out of this, but that's a big assumption. Okay, well, so if it's going to be 1, 2, right, which we'll look at here in this count here, is this a 2? Ooh, it's cutting it mighty close. But if we're going to go for a 3. Whoa, you're looking for it to not only blow through the value area, but blow beyond the all-time high. 3, 4, right? We're going to get that 5. That's a lot to assume here. Now, eventually, right? And, you know, I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just saying let's get a decent start. At least give me a start on the 1, because if we're going to have a 3, right? Again, this is the advantage that Elliotticians have over every other technical approach, period. If I'm going to get an impulse here, I got to have a 1 in it. It's right. We're looking for 5. Like, let's get the 1. Then, right, then we can be a little bit more aggressive. Right? Oh, okay, now I got something I recognize. Oh, well, was that the low? Right? So if we get in there, you know, already that's a pretty big question mark. I mean, look how tight this is. Could it be the 2? Could it be if this is, it's not the prettiest 1. We got to go this kind of funky diag, but it flies. It's legit. I can get it to fly into a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Barely. It's Elliott shuffle. Some might suggest that. Now we come. Here's the low. It's all wick. This is my 2. Okay, it's a bit unorthodox of a finish, right? We sweep the low. So what would give you some conviction that perhaps, right? This is a good pivot here. Well, number 1, let's get in there. What do I got? 4 hour here. Well, we sweep the low, right? So that's, you know. I've been scolded for just abusing the breakout traders, but breakout traders bend over, take it right there. That's what they do, right? Oh, it's breaking, broke the low, right? How do we know that this is algo driven, right? Because look what comes off of it, right? Sweep the low, and then we get the big imbalance here. So now the market has come back and rebalanced here. All right, so that's a good sign for bulls, because after we rebalance here, look what happens again, right? Again, breakout traders, they just never learn. Actually, the ones that survive, right, that are still trading, they've learned, right? They don't do it anymore, or because you can't survive doing it. But fortunately for us, right, there's a new crop comes in every day. So we're going to get a 1, 2 here. Sweep. Right? I can't make this up, right? So sweep it, imbalance. Sweep it, imbalance. Another imbalance. Well, now we can't confirm that, right, until this bar closes, but it sure looks like we may have one going in there. Right? It's not a huge one. Come here. Not a huge one, but may have another one right here, right? That little balance. Well, we'll see, right? Shit, what am I at? 4 hour? Oh, I need a little counter here to tell me how far that. Oh, I think we got a little time left on that one. So what did we run into? All right, so we're going from fair value gap. We're leaving a fair value gap. We're rebalancing this fair value gap. What happened up here, right? Oh, likely, right? This is liquidity swept, right? Coming to rebalance here. Yeah, again, I feel like I've gone over this so many times. Okay, so what do we got here? Right. So what would your assumption be? Okay. Well, I can get a 5. It's but ugly, but I can probably work a 3 into that. I don't sweep the low, right? Absolute hard rules, right? In Elliott, right? The 2 must be above the start of the 1, right? That's not negotiable, right? So is this a 1, 2, and we're going 3, 4, 5? Is that what we're looking at? Well, I don't know that there's any reason to assume otherwise. Why would you assume otherwise? No, again, not the 618. It's golden zone, right? So this algo has already been paid, right? Got first target. Where's third target? Right here. So we, again, just note, right? It's, I stress, I feel like I say this all the time, but right, so we have new people, new members, right? It's the same thing. I do the same thing the same way every time. That's not blowing my own horn. It's because I've learned and I've been well mentored and just my own experience of doing this for 30 years. That's the edge that I have. In that I do it the same way every time. And of course, you got to do something that's effective, right? But again, after many years of doing this, what you see me do here, which is why it feels like, oh God, I'm doing the same thing over time. They got to be bored with this. That is the edge, is that you do it the same way every time. As soon as you start deviating and mixing it up and, well, let's try something different, you've lost your edge. Now, I'm not saying you have to trade the way we teach it here at TDU. I'm just saying if you find something that gives you an edge, you want to stick with it. You don't want to be jumping around, and that's what so many people do until they hopefully, if it's not what we teach you here, you find something that clicks with you, that you understand, that you can replicate, and that you can do the same way every time. And it's grounded in events that you see over and over again. I mean, so what are we? So we've looked at Bitcoin, ETH, and the S&P, and so far every significant pivot's been a golden zone. You think that's coincidence? No, we know better than that. Of course not. No, not every pivot is a golden zone, right? One way or another, you're going to find that is, if it's not pivoting at a golden or a 50, it'll be tied to something else, right? So here we sit, right? Again, okay, is that it? 1, 2. Well, God, do you think we'll get a golden zone? Do you think it'll be a golden zone out of a fair value gap you think it'll be a golden zone that'll come back to a fair value gap? It couldn't be. Do you think it'll be a golden zone that come back? Well, here, you don't have a fair value gap here. You sweep the low at the golden zone. It's just the same thing over and over and over. And over and over and over. I know some people, they don't like to hear that. They want to think that, oh God, it's got to be different. No, it's not different. Now you should, hopefully, that should resonate with you. You mean if I can just develop some consistency in my technical approach, that doesn't mean you're going to win any trade. In fact, the opposite. You're going to lose more. You're going to be wrong and stopped out more than you're right. Period. I don't care who you are. Period. You have to be at peace with that. You have to accept it. You're going to be wrong more than you're right, despite the fact that you're doing it the same way every time. It's just the nature of trading, right? And that's why it's the easiest. It looks like the easiest money you'll ever make, but it's the hardest easy money you'll ever make, right? It's not easy, right? You add in the emotion of money and money at risk, and that's what makes it so challenging. Okay, so here we sit with Ethereum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, one of the things that guys on my team are wrestling with this. Oh, let me see if I can find it now. Is how are we looking in the broader landscape of altcoins? So this is TOTAL2 because I think this makes the case a little bit better. So here, this is all the alts, less Bitcoin. Now we have a similar kind of a challenge here as we do with Ethereum, right? Is this the 2? I mean, technically, this is a higher low. It could be the 2. Because of that, right? Of all the rules, there's only one rule that you cannot allow to break, and that is start of 1 being overlapped by 2, right? That I'll fudge the 4, it's anything but that, right? That's a hard rule. So that could be a 2. Okay, well, let's think about, let's think about that. So let me get this recentered here. So if that's 1, 2, well, I guess we don't need all of that. If that's 1, 2, well, what's that? Not going to be 3. 1, 2. 1, 2. Now this is where it gets a little funky, right? It's the same thing with Bitcoin, ETH, all of them, right? These are those skinny legs that we talked about. Is that 1, 2, 3? Well, that sure looks like a 4. A, B, well, fuck. A, B, C, D, E. It almost doesn't matter, right? At this point, it's the 4, right? That's very 4. Well, I can't say that with certainty, right? It certainly has all of the characteristics of a 4, right? We get an impulsive move, we go sideways, we don't progress the trend, we stall, and then the trend continues, right? It's a classic 4. Do we know for sure? You know, I'd give that a 90% probability. 1, 2, 3, right? So 1, 2, 7, 1, 3, 8. It doesn't get a 1, 6, 1, 8. Retrace, interesting, right? Where do we retrace? Right to the prior pivot swing here, right? Prior resistance becomes a support. And then boom, I get an impulse. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So this makes people a little uncomfortable. Doesn't quite look right, because you would have been thinking, oh, I'm going to get something like this, right? But you don't get it, right? That's not right. Market doesn't always cooperate. We don't get perfect patterns, right? Elliott's not perfect. Don't expect it to be. But do I have a valid count here? Can I go 1, 2, 3? Well, let's think about that for a second, because that's such a deep 2. Where would that put us? If that's 2. You know, a little. It's not that it's unusual. It's not as precise as we see in Bitcoin and the S&P, where we're going right to the 1618. But it's got kind of this double hitch in it. So it made me think, well, what if I measure? Let's go from swing high to swing low. The pivot of the 3, right? You're kind of. What is it, right? So then you'd look, if it's not there, then you'd want to look over here and say, is it that, right? That's, if I can get that right on that pivot. Now let's look over here, right? Is that an order block? Get it right on that pivot. Well, I got a pretty good imbalance right here. Oh, here, oh shit, I don't know if it matters here, but we'll just, so it's obvious. And let's get you out of here. Can I do that without distorting it? Maybe not. I gotta zoom in there. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay. Zoom back a little bit. See if I can get that to make sense. So here's the pivot. Here's the fair value gap. Looks like that's already been cleared. Cleared. Okay, so here we run into this double here. So the reason I'm looking for the fair value gap is because that's what I'm not even interested in a potential supply zone that doesn't cause a fair value gap, right? That's how you know it's. Oh, where's my sell zone order block? Okay, all right, so that's how we know it's likely. That's whale behavior, right? Because you, me, and Billy Bob, crypto trader, right? We can't create a fair value gap, right? It's only muscle can do that. So potentially, right? I'm not trying to make it as precise as, is it is that it, right? I'm just looking at where's the fair value gap and what's the last swing up before we create that fair value gap. Now you could fatten it a little bit here, but that's close enough, right? It's the imbalance here, right? And then the big push that starts triggered off of this. So that's the mile marker that catches my eye. Okay, so I'm coming right back up to note here. This is you can't trade TOTAL2, right? So we're deducing some things from the price action here. So we come right up to the proposed supply here, and that's where we start to sell off. Now, are we going down lower? Well, if it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I've got my 3 is in. Take this off. Well, this looks like it's got one more leg down to me, right? So if we're going to follow, if this A, B, C into a W, this sure looks like triangle X. And we'd have another A, B, C to come down and complete that pattern, right? Give us the 4. Oh, shit, come here. Give us this 4 right here. Where we have this unmitigated order flow right here, right? The down before we go up, that's bullish order flow because it's untouched, right? So this comes down here, the presumption here, again, you can't trade total 2, but the presumption is here that this is, whether we were in ETH or any of the major alts would look very similar here, that this is potentially an area where you're going to find support. It would be at the 38, right? So we've got the channeling here. So there's a lot of things to suggest, oh, there's one more leg down, but the market doesn't seem to... Market seems to be particularly bullish right now. We're post-halving, right? We haven't had a big explosion yet. There's just general consensus seems to be, why aren't we mooning? Then you see a couple of coins like Link, Pump very recently here, and all of a sudden people are thinking it's coming, it's coming. Well, it's going to be reflected here. So if we're going to get out of here, and if the 4 is in over here, which I'm very reluctant to propose that here. That's not how I'm seeing it. I think this is W, triangle X. Now, how are we going to know if we get out of that? If this becomes 1, 2, and we get a 3, 4, 5, right? Okay, well then, oh, what do we got here? Is that 1, 2, 1, 2? You know, anything's possible, but it would have to be some sort of a diag. It looks to me like it's A, B, C, D, E, right? Which would suggest the path of least resistance is down. Down from that E. Now, we shall see if we get that, right? So you've got to... nobody knows where it's going here. So here, this has been tapped, right? We didn't break the 50% of it here, but boy, that's a nice looking triangle. As it sits right now, remember, as we sit here labeling, right, an Elliott count is just a snapshot in time. Right now, that looks like a perfect triangle. Right now. On Monday, might look different. Or it might confirm this if we get a sell-off here. Or it might take 2 weeks to get out of this consolidation that we're in. But here's what, if I just look at that, does that make you want to get long and strong there off of that price action? Genuine question. It doesn't make me want to buy it. It makes me want to sell it, right? But it's not what I'm going to do. It makes me think, okay, I'm going to be patient here because I see a better opportunity down here. If right at the 38, right? So then we come back to something like, oh shit, where did I put ETH? I think I got you over here. Oh, no, I lost it. ETH, here we go. How is that going to fit? This is what I mean. We've kind of come to this point here where it's not quite making sense. So if we look at ETH, right, as our dominant alt, it looks like that's in an impulse. Yet we look at TOTAL2, it looks like it's in a triangle. Mixed signals. So it makes me reluctant to put money at risk, right? Until I can see it, right? So you can just trade Ethereum here off of this. Well, now do you want to long it now after we've just hit the algo target at a fair value gap? Probably not, right? So where would the next trade be if you're just jonesing for a trade? Well, you're gonna have to wait for that 3 to top. All right, we got lots of reasons for it to find some resistance here, and not to mention the down-sloping trend channel. To get a 3, to get a 4, that's the next trade that I would propose here, that I would take. If I'm getting up to a 3, I'm going to come back in a 4 or get a triangle or something here for my 4. I'll take the 4 to the 5. Now, let's be mindful of where that resistance is going to be. Well, number one, we've got the value area high here, just natural resistance. We got the POC. Well, here we have from the X, we haven't broken, right? So we got to get through that. I get that X right on that, right? Well, so here's 618 to the tick. I know, probably just a coincidence. So we got to get up through that golden zone. We got to get on the other side of the POC, right? So you can just keep it here and look at the POC. So we got to clear that. And if we do that, if this is 1, 2, oh, we're looking for 3 way up here. So 1, 2, 1, 2. To complete that thought, this would have to be 1, 2, 3. Right, we're looking for much higher. 3, 4, 5. Right now we're off to the races. Right now we're out of the uncertainty of sitting here in this consolidation here while we're sitting in the value area. Again, if I had to pick one of the other, well, I'm telling you, right, the choice is no trade. Right? That is a trading decision. I keep that in mind. Okay, that's a lot on that. So here, let me pause for a second. Wanted to get a few choices here, or potential trades that are, if they're not at the entry location here, they're pretty close here. Something that would get on your watch list. This is V chain here, and this is, oh, we got a little. If I bring it back here, oh, let's see, I got an 8, so we can put it in context. Do we have a 4? Right, we've got a pretty good candidate for a 4. 1, 2, 3, right? Clear impulse here for the 3. Goes up to the 2618, coming back for the channel. So here we sit, right? That's why channeling is it's such an important part of Elliott. Okay, so we've come back here, and in addition to the edge of the channel here, we've got this nice imbalance here that's not been filled in, right? So now coming off of that, we get the reaction. So there's the 38, there's the fair value gap, the imbalance, and the reaction here is, let's go to a 2 hour here, is we get an impulse. Now, are we done here? Well, it looks like there might be one more kick there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops, get that out of there. 4. Maybe one more leg up here. Let's see here. That's the 2 through the 4. Was pretty good here. Not quite the 50, but right. So we're in that little pocket between 23 and 38. Right here's the liquidity that was just waiting to be swept. That gets broken. Right. So we get break of structure, retrace. Now it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. That could be done, but maybe one more. Right. That's got a natural target up here to come back here. Although it doesn't need to come up here. Right, because that's already been mitigated here. So we got potentially a 1, 2, 3, 4, one more kick up for that 5. Right, and we get up here for the 5. We complete the 5. Now, okay, everybody knows what's next. Again, no, that's the wrong way to phrase it. The highest probability is completing that 5. We would follow that with a 3, right? That's how the market tends to move. So 3, 5, right? So this would, I think, probably a good one to have on your watch list for something that could move this summer. 1, 2. You got a nice little consolidation here. So you've got a fair value gap sitting there. Right? So something like that, which would 50 to a 60 to a 618, right? So there's a 50. At least you're buying in the discount, right at the discount for the 3. So 1 for your watch list. I think that one's worth keeping your eyes on. This one's getting a lot of buzz, right? Because it's starting to move. Although the same thing, it's kind of leaving me going, oh, wait a minute. Well, number one, I struggled with this on the live stream on Wednesday, and finally had enough time to work with it. I think you can get a 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, if you look at it, the problem here is that the 2 is so tiny relative to the 4. But you can get it to fly. 1, A, B, C into the 2. Now you got to go leading diag. This gets a little sloppy here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's mighty tough count to make it work. Here's your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to give you your 3, 4 up to the 5. Well, whoa, we're going to do a 2 there, right? And it's not like it's never happened that we could have a 2 that would be that shallow, but it's one of those. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. Is it probable? It makes me think maybe a little bit something over here. So that would, again, the implication would be something like this, or even lower, right? For a deeper retracement, because where would we be anticipating that? Again, it's not like we haven't been through this 1,000 times, right? Where would we anticipate the 2 between the 50 and the golden zone? So something like that, right? Again, market's not obligated to do that. It's just what it usually does. So why do we want to trade something abnormal? Right? You hear me say that all the time. We don't. We want to trade normal, not abnormal, right? Or anticipate, it's going to do something atypical, and I'm going to put money at risk on the assumption it's going to do something it normally doesn't do. Does that sound like a good plan? Probably not. But then this, right? Is it A, B, C? Well, I've got the daily, weekly, and monthly highs on there just for some extra support and resistance. We've broken here. If we break up here, what's that? That's a break of structure. So the anticipation would be, if we're going to break this, if we're going to break that here, we go up, then you'd anticipate a retrace. Is it a 3? Right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that going to? I mean, we could end up. Can we do it? I couldn't get this to fly to complete the 1 here, 2, 3, 4, right? It wouldn't be an impulse anyway. So because I struggled with it, I was kind of trying to find the count. If you put the 1 here, thinking, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's still going for the 5. It doesn't fly. We can't make that an impulse because of the overlap here, right? And that's enough, right? So it's wick only, but still, right? It's too much. So What's the assumption? Lows in, that this is the 2, maybe. Near protocol, right? It's mighty strong. Ah, come here. Miss that thing all the time. That's 50 to the tick. I think this was a 50 as well. Algo targets above. This might be. That's looks like they probably used it there. If you're going to use a secondary pivot, you want to make sure it's one that the algo used, which they did, right? So swing, golden zone. Swing, golden zone. Swing, 50. I guarantee you that's another one. It's not why it moves, it's how it moves. Another between the 50 and the golden zone. So we got all these algo targets up here. It makes me uncomfortable, right? I don't want to. Here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to buy it, because even if we, I know, right? It's like, oh, but it's going up, right? Why? Well, I'm a retracement trader, so if I'm a bull, I'm waiting for the retrace. So if we go up here, that's going to be break of structure. What follows break of structure? Retrace. So I'll wait for the retrace. Much as this is a very bullish looking chart. After all of that, here I've got all of these measured moves, right? Because I do that so that you do the same. Even the channeling, right? It looks like, oh, the problem is the 1-2, right? It's like a problem, right? It's just, that's a little abnormal. So until I'm going to want to see this get up here to some of these upper levels, some, well beyond this, before I reconsider this count. And then it's no easy count. It's a real question mark is where you can put the 2 there. But that's one, I don't think it's ripe here, if anything, but it's one to have on your watch list. Let's leave it at that. Okay, what I had, another one here that's, let's go to Chainlink, because this is popping today. So we see this price action here. This is I think, going to be a really good test case. So now as I look at this, unrelated to anything other than what I see here on the chart, this looks to me like I've got to go 1, 2, 3, right? Here's the impulse, 4, and truncation. It's tight, right? This is liquidation wick, right? So this is below, right? So if you go to, if you do it in a line chart, which is common, right? So you can come here, we sweep the low. So do we have it? It's a bit of a judgment call. Given this price action here, as I look at that again, it looks like, I know all of crypto is like, Link is finally, here we go. Well, you want to buy it right into a 50? No, it's golden zone, right? So anywhere between the 50 and the golden zone, you want to be a buyer while we've got imbalances there. I wouldn't. Why? It's part of the reason I say that is because if you did it and then you got that, right, and you just got rejected there, wouldn't you feel like just a complete dumbass? And I'm not saying that to be harsh. I'm saying that just for the self-flogging that would likely come with that. Oh, what the fuck was I doing? I know not to buy into that. But sometimes, right, you think, it's going to go, I know it's going to do it this time. I know it is, right? I read something and Chainlink is blah, 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 whatever. You can't trade that way. You can't trade off of what you read in your feed. That can be a reason to go look, right? But then when you get there, right, it's you and the machines, period. Okay, what are the machines likely doing right here? Are they buying or selling? Now, knowing is the wrong word to use here. What are they likely doing? Right? We know they respond here. We don't have to wonder about that. So you're going to buy there? How about there? How about there? Right? If it gets through, let's say it gets through. What would that be? You know where I'm going with this. That's a break of structure, right? What's after a break of structure? Retrace. Well, if it does this and we get this kind of a move, well, I'll be in the camp saying, oh, okay, well, we blew through all of this. So 1, 2, 3, right? This goes off the, shit, we got to end up, Jesus. Here, what I don't think is happening here is that we're doing 1, 2, 1, 2. I do not think, right? So if anything, we'd have to work this into an A, B, C down here. Jesus, I don't even know how we do that. We'd have to do it here. Put the C down here, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's ugly as hell, but this, you know, that's likely if this is coming, that's likely how we're going to be back here adjusting that count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So next thing that I can see with some conviction, if I'm going to go this far, well, of course we haven't broken the goal. We haven't done any of this yet. Getting ahead of ourselves. What's the rush? Why force something? Why put money at risk when it's unclear? How much conviction do you have in that? I know a lot of people buying it. What are you leaving behind? Imbalances. Where's the POC? Right in the smack dab in the middle of the imbalance. I mean, look at it. I mean, literally, just look at it. Oh, shit. That doesn't need to be. Let's just call it a gray box. When the market is not trending, we want to buy the lows, sell the highs. All right? Now, it's easy to say that. It's hard to do it. Why force something here? Why not just let it resolve? Let the market reveal what it's going to do here. I mean that quite sincerely. Why force it? If it comes down, are you going to be sad about it? Well, maybe, right? It may disrupt some of the counts, but if it comes down and we get to do something like this, aren't you going to feel a little bit better on the idea that we've got a completed 5, and while it's funky and a little bit frustrating at the moment, to be able to buy it between the 50 and the golden zone, aren't you going to feel so much better, right? Again, right? If we get the opportunity to do that, to buy it where it's typically, where wave 2s are more typically found. Aren't you going to be a little more comfortable there? Maybe you take a little loser here. Maybe you use like you didn't say, no, fuck that devil guy, fuck him, right? Let's just buy it, right? It's going up, let's buy it. And you get stopped out. Okay, well, all right, well, the stops are part of it. Okay, we come down here, we got a 2. Are you heartbroken? Or are you chomping at the bit to get long again? What would your target be? That's why I say why is there this impetus to say, oh shit, I got to pump and link, I got to get long. Usually, you got to be mindful of the fact that pumps are often followed by dumps, right? This can often just be bait to suck in retail, right? Because what does retail do? They say, oh shit, look at link, I better buy it. Rarely does that work. Okay, let me wrap up here. How am I doing? 42 minutes. Oh, I had one more here that one of my, well, it's 2 here to look at. This is getting all the buzz, ton coin. Same thing, right? We looked at this on the live stream on Wednesday. Do you want to buy that just because it's going up? Well, think what we'd be saying, right? So again, do we know this is the count? No, but is it potentially a valid count? Well, I got a 1. I got a long sideways 2. Look at the length of time in that too, right? I don't see another alternative. You put it here. I don't think so. That's all wick, right? So that's before we launch, right? And I get a clean impulse here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3. There's the 4, right? How do we know it's the 4? We stall. We don't progress the trend, right? Up we go, right? So I got a 1, 2, 3. How about, is it technical? All right, let's just check how we look from that too. Where's the highest probability location for a wave 3? Right? We looked at this in Bitcoin, S&P, 1618. It goes just far enough to clear it. So the 1, 2, 3 seems pretty solid. So you're telling me now the 4 is coming in here, right? So we're going to have this, what, six months of a 2, and we're going to do this in 2 weeks. It's not that it's not possible. It's just not probable. Might be. Sure looks like A, some sort of triangle B, C. All right, well, that makes me think W. Now, if this launches, right, so, you can't get married to your position because that looks like, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, if it goes into a 5, well, it's not an X. Now, it could be an A, B, C. We're going to get some expense. But at that point, then you got to just say, well, fuck. Okay, well, look, it's perfect 38. Came to a fair value gap. It rebalanced that at the 38. Where's a wave 4 typically go? 38. Okay, well, that's a little weird. But, okay, weird happens. But if we do this, again, we're going to come back to, market structure 101. If we break the high, Break of structure. What follows the break of structure? Right, we know this, right? So this, again, it's the repetition, right? So I always feel like, oh God, dude, right? It's not this again, right? It's that repetition. Hopefully helps you, right? You need that. I know I needed it when I was learning. I need that repetition. I need to see it over and over and over again. So the next time I see it, I go, fuck, I've seen this before. I know what to do, or I know what's likely. What to do is a function of, you know, your trading plan and your risk management. But if that turns into a 5, okay, well, I'm going to scrap that and put the 4 there. Because what am I now anticipating? A 3, right? That's the genius of Elliott Wave, 5s and 3s. 1, 2, 3, right? So this, well, it's weird, but there's the 4. 1, 2. I'll buy into the 3, right? Because if I'm looking for a 5 up here, if that's going to go 1, 2, I'm looking for that substantially higher. So why not just let it show its hand, right? Because it will reveal itself. Oh, we're going to break the high? Okay, great. No, it's turned into a 5. Oh, well, my thinking was wrong. Right now, as it sits there, let's go to a 4. Right? It's got all the ingredients, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a nice looking A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, C. So I got a nice little self-contained zigzag here. Oh, come here. I got a nice looking little zigzag here. Right? And we just broke it. Now, is that 1, 2, 3, 4? So some key levels we can watch for, right? Is it going to stay as an impulse? Well, if we break here, that might give you a little bit more conviction. Then you're starting to think, oh, wait a second, right? I got break of a significant high. Oh, next retrace. I'm not saying you have to short it. I'm just saying if that's what's coming, well, now the idea that this is the X is starting to get solidified in terms of your analysis of where the market is, right? So then now you're back here thinking, oh, okay, I see it. Nice ABC, nice little zigzag into an X, right? We don't sweep the high. So lower high. Now we don't have that yet, but that's what I'd be anticipating. We come down for the 4, and then the whole thing balances out a little bit better. And then you take the next trade, you take the 4 with a whole lot more confidence. Doesn't mean it's going to be a winner and that we're going to the moon. It's just you take it with more conviction. The risk parameters tighten a little bit. As opposed, this is a little bit of hopium. God, I hope it goes. Careful of those. All right, I got one more here. One for your watch list. Since PK sent this over to me. Optimism. Well, that's good. Like the name. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? It's not the prettiest of all time, but is there any disputing we got 5? I think probably not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. ABC. ABC. Right to fair value gap. Now it's all wick, but it's mitigated. Okay, let's dig in there. Well, what do I got here? An 8 hour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. So another leading diag. Looks quite similar to the broader pattern that we had when we looked at the whole thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. So I would look here and think, So I would look. So again, just yes, same thing every time. What happened here? Oh, swept the pivot. Do we? Well, barely. Is that why it stops there? Is it? Is that why? I can't make this shit up, guys. Every market we've looked at, it's the same thing. Over and over and over again. Golden zone. 1, 2, 3. All right, so we get the reaction here. So that doesn't mean we're off to the moon. It just means we can understand why. See, that's always the question I have. Why is it stopped there? Why isn't it still selling off? Right? Well, buyer stepped in. Why? Well, you could say, well, perception of value, right? The value was that it's underpriced here, right? You can buy it and sell it for more, for a higher price. Well, okay, if this is 5 and this is 5, what am I anticipating next? I'm anticipating the 3. Well, where might I anticipate some resistance, right? Considering what it's just done. Well, certainly up here would be an area of interest. if we're going to go up a little higher for that C. Now we could break here. Wouldn't kill the count here, but you can see that imbalance up here. But if we're coming up here, we've just gone golden zone. Are you going to assume that we're going to just break this? You want to buy right into that because you think it's one, oh, well, shit, how would you even do it? I don't even think you can do it. That's a 5, right? You're coming down to a 5. You need that 3, right? So it sets this up as, oh, A, B, C. Oh, where's the target down here, right? Another, well, this has been tapped, right? So we've got another imbalance down here as a candidate at the target. Now that would be deep. We'd be breaking the golden zone, but we'd be completing a pattern that would give us a little more conviction. Now, if we break that golden zone, I'm going to want to wait for the next retrace so I can pick up an algo to clear the forest, as I like to say. I want them doing the heavy lifting, right? If I don't have them, if I don't know where they are, if they're down here, I don't have them. I don't have them here, but I pick them up again here, right? Because that'll be a 50 or a golden, depending on what we see here. A, B, C, deep, right? So it doesn't kill it to go that deep, right? And we looked at a couple today where we went right past the 90. We went a couple of ticks from it. So we can certainly come lower down here and go to the 90. A, B, C. Still valid. 1, 2. That's the one I'll wait for, right? So whenever it's coming down like that, you don't need to pick the turn. Wait for the first retrace. Then you go. All right, guys, that's all I got. There's, oh, shit, 50 minutes. Oh, I thought this was going to be a short one. That tends to be my tendency. I guess we'll leave it at that. Okay, guys, that's all I got for today. Yeah, I think I got everything. Right, just a reminder, you can always join us for free. I should do this earlier, but if you're looking for an exchange, right, if you're in the States and you're looking for a non-KYC where you don't have to use a VPN, Bitunix is a new sponsor of ours. We like them. Been trading with them now for several months. Very, very happy with it. Just very just it would look like any other exchange you've been on. Very simple to trade. Right. Very reasonable rates. Very competitive with any other exchange. And then if you're in the States, you can trade there without KYC. At least that's how it is right now. And I know the guys behind the whole exchange. And so I trust them, so I'm comfortable recommending them to you. So if you're looking, they've got a nice little welcome bonus, as most of them do. Our link is directly underneath this video if you want to take a peek at that. Okay, guys, with that, I'll wish you a good weekend, and we'll catch you next week.